So I'm coming up on the last day of my winter trip up here to my studio in West Virginia, and I was able to actually pack a lot into this trip, and I'm happy about that. And I thought this would be a cool way to kind of share with you guys how my 2 weeks up here went and some of what I was able to get done. Now, before I even left Florida, I got an awesome opportunity to do something I wanted to do for the last couple of years. And that was to be on an actual film set, working, doing something. For this particular one, I did behind the scenes stills, but I would have ran snacks or, whatever it was. I just wanted to be there and just kind of experience how all of that comes together with a crew and everybody working together. I've just always wanted to experience that. Tristan Ortiz is a local filmmaker based right there out of St. Cloud, Florida, and he's working on another banger of a short film, and I know it's going to be good just because I've seen his work, and I was there as they were making this one. I got to see, kind of over the shoulder of the DP, Nate, and kind of see what he was capturing in real time, and really looking forward to it. But I had seen through his post that their first full day of filming was going to be the day after I planned to leave for West Virginia, and I really hated that. But at the same time, I thought I could just delay my trip by a day and spend that first day on set with them if they would have me. And so I reached out to Tristan, and he was gracious enough to say, yeah, man, come on board, we'd love to have you. And so I told him I could do, behind the scenes video or stills, and they had their guy RJ doing the video. And so they didn't have anybody to do stills for that first day, so I was happy to fill that role. Needless to say, I was really excited for that. So fast forward to January 7th, that was the night before that first day of filming, and the call time was 6 a.m. and this was over at New Smyrna Beach, which was over an hour from where I live in St. Cloud. So I knew I'd have to get up early, so I knew I'd have to go to bed early. So I forced myself to go to bed at like 11 something, which is way earlier than you would typically ever catch me going to bed. And I got up at 3:30 so I could leave the house at 4:30 in case there was any little bit of traffic or anything like that, to give myself a few extra minutes to make sure I was there on time at 6, which I was. So I was told to expect like a 12-hour workday. I think we wrapped around 5, so it was more like 11. So I was able to get back on the road a little earlier. And my plan was to go straight from the set, get on I-95 and start my trip north to West Virginia, see how far I could make it, and then pull over and take a nap whenever, because I was working on just a few hours of sleep and I'd already been up since 3:30. So I knew I had to make one stop before I really got on my way, and that was Whataburger. I had to go in there and get myself a double burger with cheese, plain, had to be plain, and then got on the road. So like I said, I didn't know how far I would get. I just knew somewhere along the way I'd probably have to pull over and just take a power nap, because with all that gear in my truck, there's no way that I'm gonna unload it, take it into a hotel room, and then have to reload it back into my truck. And I'm definitely not gonna go into a hotel by myself and leave all my gear in my truck. So it just makes more sense to stay with it in the truck. Now, I thought I might only make it somewhere into North Carolina or something like that before I had to stop and take a break. But before I knew it, I was already through Georgia, through the Carolinas. I was into Virginia, and I figured, well, if I'm already in Virginia, then I just have to go one more state. And for those of you who don't know, West Virginia and Virginia, those are two separate states. There are lots of educational videos on YouTube that explain this, but trust me, in my experience, I've realized that a lot of people don't understand that. So I'm just sharing that with you guys. Do with it what you will. Hopefully we all learn something from this. So anyway, yeah, I figured might as well just go on home. At this point, I had already been on the road around 24 hours. I'd already worked a full day out in the sun on blacktop, and I thought, what's just a few more hours? So anyway, in true Howie fashion, I finally made it to the studio just before 6 a.m. Safe and sound, got my truck unloaded, got everything in, and got a shower, knocked myself out, and I didn't see the sun until 1:30 in the afternoon. So the rest of that day was spent just setting my desk up and settling into the studio, and a little bit later on, I got myself some dinner, and I popped in the photos from set that day so that I could get them out to Tristan and his team so they could start using them for social media posts and whatever else they were going to use them for. So now Saturday I had to go over to Southern Ohio. It's like a 2.5 hour drive from my studio. I was going to be working with Jason Stevens. He's a state rep there, and I've been working with him for 20 years at this point, which is crazy to think about. And we were just doing some campaign and content photos and video there around his family's farm and at their house and, you know, in town, those kind of things. After that shoot, I met up with one of my brothers over in Nitro. We got Buffalo Wild Wings because, as far as I know, there's no real good wing spot up here in Braxton County, and there should be, so work on that. But if there is one, let me know. I would love to know where that is. So I got home late that night and uploaded photos, went to bed pretty early, I think. So Sunday morning rolled around and I had a shoot scheduled at 11 a.m. for Elise. She was coming in to do some of her sports stuff and extracurricular for her senior pictures. I wanted to schedule her early enough that even if we went long, it wouldn't cut into the 49ers game, which was at 4:30 against the Eagles in the wild card. And I hadn't missed a game all season. I wasn't about to miss this one. And it was going to be a good redemption game for us. So I was excited about that. My buddy Chance came over. He brought some food. We watched the game, and he has an equal hatred for the Eagles because he's a Giants fan, so that checks out. Anyhow, 49ers win, advance to the next round. And after the game, we went and got some Moe's, and I came back, uploaded photos, edited them, got the Lightroom taken care of, uploaded her gallery, called it a night. So Monday morning I had to go up the street to the dentist office to see Chad because I've got this thing that's been bothering me the last couple weeks. And it turns out, even though I had my wisdom teeth taken out like, it was 20 years ago, give or take, apparently if it's not cleaned up well, you get little bone fragments in there, and over time they eventually start working their way out. And so this happened to me over here a few years back, and then down here now on the inside, I had that happening, and it was just so irritating, so annoying. But I went in, Chad was able to get a little piece out and another little piece, and I thought we were done. Turns out I would have to go back a couple more times for him to get it all taken care of, but that's what took up the first part of my morning that day. Fun times. And then in the afternoon, 4:30 or so, I had another senior shoot. This time it was with Caden, and he was just getting all of his studio stuff done. We had already done a shoot in the fall, got outside and got the pretty colors, all that good stuff. And this was just to get, like I said, that studio stuff. In January is when I typically like to do all my studio stuff. I try not to schedule it in the summer or the fall because it's just so nice out. We should take advantage of that. In the winter when it's ugly, let's do the studio sessions then. It's ugly out, it's gray, it's rainy and snowy and cold and no leaves on the trees. It's just, now later in the evening, I uploaded all those photos, ran them through Lightroom, uploaded his gallery, all that good stuff, and then I kicked back and I played a little PUBG. So now it's Tuesday and I don't have anything scheduled. It's going to be kind of a slow day for me, so I thought this is going to be a great opportunity for me to get out and go visit my Aunt Vera, which I did. And I got a pizza from one of my favorite spots while I was down there, Pies and Pints, the Chipotle barbecue chicken pizza, I think is what it's called. No red onions though. That's the way to go. So I spent a couple hours down there visiting with Aunt Vera, got my pizza leftovers, came home, and just kind of laid low the rest of the evening, did some stuff around the studio, whatever. On Wednesday, I spent a lot of the earlier part of the day straightening up some things at the studio. Also, I thought that my refrigerator was going to die. I had to pull everything out of the freezer and chip the ice out of it that was built up on the back. Actually, I had to unplug it for a while, run a blow dryer to melt the ice, and then put things back in, but not so many things that it was blocking the airflow or whatever. Anyway, freezer's fine. There's a little tip for you if your freezer freezes up. And then in the evening, my good buddy Kane stopped by on his way back from Nashville. He had been at Imaging USA. He had just received his photographic craftsman degree, I think is what it's called. And anyhow, congratulations, Kane. And it was his birthday, so he stopped by in Charleston, picked up another Chipotle barbecue chicken pizza and brought it up, and we had that for dinner. Where are we now? Thursday, I had to go to Ohio. Had 2 more shoots down there. These were, this time it was with high school seniors in Ironton and at Colgrove. And I only made it about 30 some miles into my trip, and I got a notification that I had never seen before. It was a snow squall warning, and I wasn't even sure exactly what a squall was, but I was thinking it sounded like a mini blizzard. That's kind of what I imagined. Well, 15 more minutes down the road, and I ran into that mini blizzard, and it went from a little bit of snow in the median and on the shoulders to like a whiteout and just snow blowing sideways, and the whole road was covered. I rolled up on this 3-car accident. There was cars out in the median, turned every which way, emergency responders out, snow just falling. I thought, you know, this is chaotic. I'm sure they're not having a good day, but since I'm gonna have to sit here for a while, I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna get some footage. So I took some photos, I took some video. I had even messaged Spencer Adkins at Channel 13 and told him, hey, I got some footage. If you guys want to use it later, you can. So I got back in my car. I realized we were going to be there a while. I knew I was already going to miss my first shoot. I got a notification on my phone that said the road was closed ahead. A firefighter came up and told me that they're going to release traffic soon, but you're only going to get so far and you're going to get stuck again because there was a semi-truck jackknifed. So I was like, you know what? This is my sign, and I'm just going to turn around, reschedule my shoots, get some lunch, go back home. And that's what I did. So I got back to the studio and I sent that footage over to Spencer, and they got it on the 11 o'clock news. So here's a little bit of that. That was kind of cool, I thought. Now, Friday evening, I was really looking forward to, because I was finally going to get a chance to shoot something that I hadn't had a chance to shoot since like 2002 or 2003, somewhere in that area. Boxing. I hadn't shot boxing in forever. Now, Trey, he's a senior of mine from back in like 2015. He's a boxer now, and he was fighting the opening fight at the West Virginia Tough Man up at the Armory in Clarksburg. So I wanted to go up and get some footage of that. And you know, I'm so mad at myself because while I was shooting, my camera started overheating. And it's a Sony A9 III, and I guess they kind of do that when you're shooting in 120 or 60 frames a second. Maybe it's just the 120. I had just shot a slow motion clip and switched it back, and a couple of clips in, I got the little overheating warning, and I thought I had a little break. Trey knocked the guy's mouth guard out, and they'd called time. They were resetting for that. So I flipped my camera off for just 1 second, I felt like, and then turned it back on. And Trey just took one step in, gave the guy an uppercut, and that ended the fight. But I started recording again just as the guy hit the mat. And, you know, I got the celebration and all that stuff, but I didn't get the best part of the entire fight, which was Trey's uppercut knockout. I'm so mad at myself. I'm so stupid. Anyhow, lesson learned on that, but I still managed to get some good footage despite, you know, being a little bit far back from the ropes, having to shoot through the ropes and all that stuff. Next time I'm going to negotiate myself a better spot. So Saturday, I had the bright idea to move my desk all the way from my office in the back across my studio, all by myself, up to the front. And you don't know my desk, but it is a beefy beast. It is a big boy desk. It's not some little IKEA desk or anything like this. I built this thing back during COVID with like way more material than what I needed to use. It's just a lot of overkill, but it's heavy. It weighs probably, if I had to guess, it's about the same as like a Harley Davidson or something. And it doesn't have any wheels or anything, so at the expense of my neck and my back.
Oh, my neck, my back, my neck and my back. Oh!
I was finally able to get it moved up to the front and get it set back up before the 49ers game later in the evening, which, it's been a long year, and if it's all right, I would just like to not talk about that game at all. But Chance did come back, and he brought some more food. He brought some wings from Pizza Hut, and then my brother Willie just kind of appeared out of nowhere like a vampire and kind of scared Chance, I think, a little bit. But he did bring some pizza from Pies and Pints again. It's the third time. It's got to be a record for me on a trip up here, so not complaining. Yeah, but that was Saturday, and now we're into Sunday, and I had to make up those 2 shoots from Ohio that I missed out on the other day because of the snow squall. Anyway, my first shoot started at noon. I had to be at Tank Stadium in Ironton for Mason's first set of senior pictures, and this was just going to be a quick shoot because it was so cold outside. We had his Letterman jacket and jeans, and then we switched to jeans and jersey and jeans, and did a few there around the stadium, in the bleachers and that kind of thing. And we called it a day because it was cold and my hands were freezing. He was freezing. His nose was turning purple. It was just, not ideal conditions. Plus we knew we were going to have more in the studio later in the spring when I come back. So no pressure. After that, I went to the one spot you got to go to in Cold Grove, Ohio to get lunch, and that was Cold Grove Giovanni's. Got myself some cheesy breadsticks as always. And that place is just always really cool because when I was in high school, that's where we would always pile in after the game. We would watch the Point After, Friday night, Football Friday Night, I think is what it was called. Anyway, all of the local sports shows that showed everybody else's scores because, back then, it was early internet and we didn't really have the websites yet that we could just hop on and check all the scores and everything like that. So we had to go back and watch the news, and that's how we heard who won and who lost. Anyway, got my belly full, drove over to the high school. That's where I was meeting up with Rylan and his family for Rylan's second shoot. We had already done some stuff up here in Gasaway, out and about, some stuff in the studio, but these were going to be his basketball shots in the gym. And he wanted to wear his black uniform and his white uniform and get some environmental type stuff. So we got that all taken care of. I got back on the road, headed back to Gasaway, uploaded photos, added stuff to people's galleries, and I caught some of the playoff game that night. But after that, I switched over to YouTube and I got to watch something I had been waiting on for well over a year. Now my buddy Trey that I was telling you about that we just saw boxing, he is in a movie by West Virginia filmmaker Curran Sheldon, who just released his feature film on YouTube. It's called Beatdown, and it's kind of this redemption story of a guy on the back end of his boxing career who is just trying to find his way. And anyway, it stars Linz Edwards and Christy Martin, who is the subject of the new Sydney Sweeney movie, Christy, that's out. And Trey was also in this movie. But that was really cool to see. I thought the story was great. I thought the acting in it was great. It was cool to see Trey in his debut, just kind of, in a role that I felt like was, a pretty natural one for him. So. Now Monday was a slow day here at the studio. I was just trying to tie up some loose ends, take care of some things before I headed back to Florida. That evening I watched the national championship game and then hopped on to play a little bit of PUBG just to kind of break things up. Now Tuesday was the day that I was supposed to leave to go back to Florida, but remember I told you Kane had stopped by a few days before. Well, He left one of his camera bags, and I told him that he could come by and pick that up. So I met him up in Flatwoods. We got some Mo's. I gave him his camera bag. He headed back to Virginia. I headed back to the studio. I messaged Chad because my tooth was still bugging me. I told you I had to go back a few times. So I went back, and he finally got what we think was the last little piece. And so hopefully I'm done with that and I'm on the road to recovery. After that, I came back here and I started planning out some content and things like that I want to put out over the next month. And then I threw a piece of leftover pizza in the air fryer, worked on a few orders that had come in, photo orders, maybe watched a couple YouTube videos, called it a night. So I'm recording this on Wednesday. I'm going to be leaving in the morning. Hopefully I do not run into any of that big snowstorm that's supposed to be blanketing the East Coast, because I got to go down 77 and 26 and 95 before I get into Florida. But apparently we're supposed to get snow the whole way down, so wish me luck on that, please. Now when I get back to Florida, it's going to be right in time for scheduling those team and individual pictures for all the spring sports. I get to work with some seniors that I've already shot once, and some that I haven't got to work with yet at all for their senior pictures. So there's all that work stuff, plus a lot of making up to do I've got to do for couch time, popcorn, Prime Video, Netflix, Apple TV, whatever. I've got some episodes of Landman to catch up on. We've already got Pluribus taken care of for now. I feel like we started something else, Welcome to Derry, but yes, he doesn't want to watch that. So anyway, lots of Zoomy time with Niner. He's going to love that. And lots of taking Mia to school in the morning, because Yessie's had to do all the running over the last couple of weeks. And so I know I've got a couple of weeks of that ahead of me. But yeah, I just wanted to get on here and share a little bit of that with you guys. And hopefully it's not so long before I'm on here again giving you another update. So anyhow, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.